What is the problem that you have with the expropriation?
It's stupid. What does the EFF, the MK, the ANC say? All they say is, I'm jealous. Okay.
And I'm calling you chicken. You know, South Africa, as they used to say, is alive with possibilities. And it is fantastic when you come across somebody who you feel is helping the country to be the best version of itself. And as many of our subscribers would know, and many of our watchers, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, will know, we recently had an interview with the ANC spokesperson, Mahlengi Bengu Motsiri, that has attracted a lot of attention. And it attracted attention from many other podcasters as well. And in fact, it's even gone over to some of the broader media, and it's quite interesting to see your stuff being put into the online newspapers. But one of the best analysis by far was a gentleman who I have taken an absolute liking for, and he joins us here today, and that is Bonsai Shongwe. Bonsai,
Yes,
welcome to the State of the Nation. Eh?
Oh, thank you. It's such an honor to be
This
here.
romance happened quickly. Eh?
Bromance. Yeah, no, absolutely.
This is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Now, let me tell you about Bonsai, because here's a man who is a preacher, he's an entrepreneur, he understands economics, and now he's a podcaster. And, you know, don't unsubscribe from the State of the Nation, but go and check out Bonsai Shongwe's podcast. You will not be sorry, because he does a brilliant job at what he does. So I thought, let's get him here. He was kind enough to analyze that interview that we spoke about with Mahlengi. And then I thought, let's get him here. Now, Bonsai,
Yes.
immediately I recognized that we are singing off the similar hymn sheet, as it were, about South Africa, and especially when it comes to the economic side of the game. Now, I mentioned that you're an entrepreneur. You clearly understand business, and you said something that is quite profound, and that is that you first were in business and then studied business, and that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I had no interest in politics until it messed with my business. Had no interest in legislation until after a while I realized I don't think you guys like me very much. And also because I develop people, and have worked with so many companies to just help them go from. So my mission statement, is to turn ordinary people to history makers. Okay, so with everything I do, whether it's the preaching, whether it's when I was in music, or even now. Okay, so I would realize each time I tried to empower an entrepreneur, and anytime they couldn't reach their full potential, and success is my hobby, right? So I love to take something from nowhere to, a certain level. And anytime it couldn't work, after a while I actually realized I only have one enemy, Karl Marx. Right? If Karl Marx got through to the guy, he can't do it in business. He must be a thief. Right? He must find corrupt ways to do business. So if you're gonna do it the honest way, you just can't fall for what our politicians are selling our people. So then I got involved. Like, you messed with my business, I'm gonna mess with yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, certainly let's dive straight into the politics, because there is something that, and I've said it a lot on the State of the Nation, I don't understand what the problem that the ANC has with prosperity. And if I could put it in a larger sense, when I looked at it, really what they don't want is they don't want black people to have agency.
Yeah.
They're dead scared of black people being self-reliant and not dependent on the state.
Yeah, and I think it's the mentality, you see. So because they are stuck in this victim like now, right? You have the oppressor and the oppressed sitting here. So you just can't think of me having agency. So I wonder if they don't want them to, or their worldview just doesn't let them think it exists. So go to the comments below, and when you've come back from getting a pace car rental, okay. But if you go to the comments below, if this is a day after this video's out, there will be someone saying, "I'm in your pocket," and in their mind, none of them are going to think, what if Bonsai bought Mike?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, there's no... So I think just how they think is just so... Can I use the word?
Use the word.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me clarify. Stupid doesn't mean lacking in intelligence. Stupid just means stupid, foolish. Right. In fact, you know about that theory of stupidity? That stupidity is defined by doing something that is not in your own favor or in anyone else's favor. So that's stupid. So it's like when you talk about the debate about the Expropriation Act. Okay, this is the debate everywhere. One person will say, this act is stupid. And then someone will say, but it's written so intelligently. And you're like, sure, but it's still stupid. Because stupidity is about just how you don't help yourself, you don't help anyone, yet you do it. And unfortunately, we have two types of people that are such a problem. Number one is the uneducated. Okay, the uneducated become a problem because they fall for anything. Because maybe they don't have enough education to figure it out. But the second, more dangerous, are the educated. Because somehow we assume the education will stop them from being stupid. But stupidity is a heart matter, not a head matter. So you can get ultra intelligent in your head, but if you have a stupid heart, if you're foolish, you just can't do it right. And unfortunately, I think that's where we're stuck. We're stuck with stupid decisions done by intelligent people and justified with, the language in South Africa.
Yeah.
Right? You read what people write. You listen to what they say. And you're like, but that can't be your vocabulary, man. What the heck is a motive force of the masses of the... what?
Who speaks like that?
What are you even saying?
Yeah.
But it's because they've developed a lot of information, but you have dumb people with big words, you're in trouble.
Now, obviously, we've tackled the issues, and you surely haven't been afraid to tackle issues like the Expropriation Act. Let's start there, because I've obviously there's an easy thing in every time I tackle the issue, which is just about in every show, and that is to say that I'm trying to protect white privilege, or I'm a DA man, this DA person, etc., etc. Talk about stupid. The obvious thing by now is it makes no difference, because if you said it enough times, eventually that insult stops being an insult.
White privilege is one of those words, an intelligent word used by stupid people.
Yes. Yeah. But what is your take of the Expropriation Act? What is the problem that you have with the Expropriation
It's stupid. No, so... Okay, let's be serious. Let's see what the time says. Okay. The problem with the Expropriation Act is that so when you faced with a decision, you have four ways to go. This is actually the theory of stupidity, so that we close this, and this is not an insult. Okay. So the theory of stupidity says you have four types of people. You have suckers. They do something at someone else's benefit while they lose. They're suckers. And then you have crooks. They do what's in their benefit, but at the expense of someone else. So those two make a perfect marriage, right? Because they both want the same thing.
Yes.
But then you have the foolish. The foolish is like if I stole your car and drove to the police station and parked in the yard and burnt it. So now you've lost the car, but I'm getting arrested. And it's like, what are you doing? Well, that's stupid. So the problem with the Expropriation Act, and often, of course, people want to get into the how intelligently it's written. No one's got a problem with that. It's actually well written by smart people, but it's stupid. And it's stupid because it benefits no one. It doesn't benefit any white person, doesn't benefit any black person, doesn't benefit any politician. I take that part back. Okay, it will benefit a few politicians, but not long term, because all the expropriated land will go to comrades, for starters. And then comrades don't know how to run business, so it'll go nowhere. And then, we'll beg the farmers to come back like Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
So it's dumb because here's what happens. Maybe let me give 3 points. 3 things that are wrong with the Expropriation Act. Number 1, it's wrong. Can we close the show?
Nearly.
Number 1, it's wrong. It's morally wrong. So the only way to convince anyone about the Expropriation Act, you have to go for their anger, their envy, their resentment. In other words, you have to decrease their sense of morality. Okay, so that's a start. It's wrong. Okay, number 2, and I know it's so bad. It's like when you were asking Mahlengi, probably someone's watching and going, yeah, but what about they did? Was that not wrong? Well, then you've just proved my point, right? So number 1, it's wrong. But number 2 is it undercuts. The Expropriation Act has nothing to do with farmers. It doesn't just affect farmers. It affects the lady outside your gate here with a little table selling 4 sweets and loose cigarettes and whatever. She takes a hit from it too. It affects taxi drivers. It affects everyone, because once you tell the people who know how to get the economy going that keep one eye on the business and one eye watching your back, then the whole economy can't move forward. And and the net result is that everyone suffers. And so, but they get away with it because they get to say it's black and white. We're going to take white land and give it to black.
Yeah, that's the inference, and that's the sort of the dog whistle.
Yeah,
in the background to sort of make it to make the supporters believe it,
and not so much believe it, but even listen to it. So, because South Africans know what's right and wrong, so you've always got to inject them with a virus that replaces their sense of right and wrong with black and white. Yeah. So that's why if they didn't talk about apartheid just for 2 months and then tried to sign the Expropriation Act, it would all fall apart. Yeah. Because people would be thinking straight now and just thinking about what is being discussed. Yes. And so the problem with the Expropriation Act is every country that's ever messed with property rights, the people suffered. Yeah. All of them. Any country that has ever respected property rights or turned and started to respect property rights more, everyone does better. Everyone.
Yeah. You know what I've sort of made this point is that sometimes you use the example of the person who stole the car and drove it to the police station. What is really dumb is that if you're going to do this law, this expropriation, give it some. Often the laws are on purpose, and every country does it. They kind of hide what the law's true intention is behind some flowery name, right? Yeah. So you call it empowerment when it's actually sort of like enrichment on this side or whatever. But then they ran out of people that were at least that devious and called it the Expropriation Without Compensation Act. And now you have to send emissaries around the world, and you have to sit in front of intelligent people and say, no, this thing, you raised this issue of an Expropriation Without Compensation Act, but it isn't an expropriation. It's like arguing with a child, the toddler. You want to say, I can see it behind your back. Are you mad? So, but what I want to sort of get into, which I think is more meaty rather than us. I know you do enough analysis of the policy, and so do I. But I'm very curious about something that you represent, and I'll declare and I've said many times over here, and that is that there's a part I don't understand about South Africa and South African politicians. And I'm interested in your observation. And that is that they are seeing a different thing amongst black people to what I'm seeing. And sometimes, I have to sort of check myself and say, is that not just you white person seeing what you want to see? And I'm so sorry to speak about race all the time, but I see highly skilled, highly entrepreneurial, highly motivated, intelligent people that are fit every descriptor for an entrepreneur amongst the black population. They do want to own their own property, so they do need property rights. They do want to get somewhere in life, and they don't really want to go and live in China or in Russia, Soviet Union. So I'm trying to work out why some of these political parties keep on looking. In any society, you're going to find your radical fringe. Why do they keep on going for that when the bulk of the people will want to hear your messaging, not that message? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I think this is my theory. I'm not so sure, but you're absolutely right. So let me. Okay, I'll say it. Let me give you a simple example. I own land. My family owns land that my dad left for his grandkids. So now it's in the hands of my level. And guess who's on that land right now? The people who rented it to farm it. Okay, because I'm here at State of the Nation.
Yes.
My brother's somewhere running a business somewhere with land that my dad wanted to retire on, and he did. And so it's just politicians who push a lot of this stuff. People want it. I'll tell you what people want. There's a song about it, right? I want to have a lot of money, eat better, drive a better car, live in a better house. I'm close to 50. I have not met a single guy in my whole life born in Soweto who ever said anything about hoping to one day use any land except the size of a house, right? To have a nice house and a nice car. And the truth is, this is all black people. But let me come back to the question you asked. So this is what happened. This is my theory. So remember, we have pre-1994, and then 1994 happens. And the first time that black people get involved with politics is with the ANC. And the first time you hear a politician, you hear someone talking about the oppressed minority, the oppressed majority, and we must unite and stage a revolution, and then equality and redress and injustices of the past. That's all you heard. So from 94, the average black person in South Africa, when they hear that, they just think politics, right? So if too many black people in South Africa, if they heard me, they wouldn't know I'm making political statements. And it doesn't help that I fit in the box that the other way of doing politics calls a sellout. So they wouldn't think two people making two opposing political statements. Like everything I'm saying is because I have a certain political thought pattern, and it happens to be the right one, but it's political anyway. So I think what then happened is we still need that time for black people to realize, oh, like Shaka Zulu was not a Marxist. Oh, cool. Right? King Mswati Sopuza was not a Marxist. He didn't talk about any struggle or revolution. Okay, that's from some German white guy. So actually we are all sellouts because the ANC, all of them talk like a German white guy. And I talk like I don't know, where's Adam Smith from? I talk like some other white guy. So we all sellouts.
Yeah.
And even when they go Pan-Africanism, like that's got nothing to do with the kings and priests in Africa. That's just Marxism come back down. It's just white stuff. So when you say white people will unite, that you just that's what some white guy told you. So of course I'll say it, and then they'll say, you with the Jesus, white Jesus. That's why you talk like that. You with white Marx. But I think what happened is but it's changing, and that's why people like me, like Citizen Concerned, like Thomas Mabaso, and then now there's these young boys like these Sama Sambit, who's poetic and stuff. But it's because there's a shift where people are realizing, so there actually isn't a king of blackness. No one voted for the, people go like, you are throwing away your blackness. I'm like, okay, sorry, I'll take it back. Just show me who's the king of blackness, so I can go back to, so they can tell me what, how this is all defined. But I think it's the history. And then by 1994, most black people don't know that you can be black and not be involved in the struggle, especially because it ended in 94. And that we shouldn't be struggling now. We should be visionaries. Yeah. And it's more important what 10 years looks like for me now than what 1994 looked like. Yeah,
because we are making some important choices. And, the most important choice that we've made in South Africa is to be poor.
Yeah.
We've chosen to be poor.
Yeah.
And I know that I'll take on anybody when, South Africa, as we know, is richly endowed with a whole lot of things, minerals, etc., but that's not really wealth, because it's quite difficult. I mean, if you and I are pitched up in Saudi Arabia because it's got a lot of oil, there's a good chance that there's some pretty big oil companies there that are not going to welcome us with open arms. And if we have to say, okay, let's redistribute this oil, that also ends terribly. We've seen that all over the world. We haven't seen one country that's successfully done that. Probably the most effective redistributive thing is to use the taxes that you get from that activity to build infrastructure, which allows other people to then open a restaurant in the oil-rich place or so on. But there's this kind of idea that because there's mining in South Africa, potential for mining.
There was mining in South
Africa, that this is the way out of here. It's not the way out of here. It can help you to get infrastructure built. That's it.
But it's still, because, so, you had Karl Marx, that somehow our guys still want to hold on to a guy from 1800. Okay. Yes. But how he flowed down through Gramsci and all of them is then he got to the African guys, right? And so instead of oppressed oppressor, it started to be minerals in the West. And so, I mean, a lot of this is like, I hear people talk about our minerals, and I'm like, when did you get interested in mining now? And funny enough, because as our comrades told us, we are now in the fourth industrial revolution, right? So the first industrial revolution, whoever owned the land was the capitalist, and then it went on, and whoever had the factory was the capitalist, and then we go on to whoever has information is the capitalist, and now it's whoever has the following is the capitalist, right? And we fighting over Expropriation Act so that we can win what mattered in the first industrial revolution.
It's quite funny because I always hear Julius Malema talk about the means of production, which is obviously that lovely Marxian terms. And I always think of this operation and I say, okay, we've got a couple of cameras and a few laptops back there.
Means of production.
Where's my means of production? I don't even know where my server sits. It sits somewhere in the world, in the cloud. There's no means of production anymore in
Here's my means of production.
Yeah, there's your means of production. Yeah.
It's a cell phone.
And that in my hands is useless.
Yeah.
Right? Just like these cameras in somebody's hands. This isn't a printing press or something. It's just the craziest argument.
And I think the sad thing is we still think our wealth is some rock somewhere. While ignoring our wealth, which is our population. 60 million people, especially in a time when you can create wealth out of thin air now if you're smart, right? So I haven't had a job since 2006. I haven't made a CV since 1999. I haven't... Right? I haven't had a website since back then because I make a living out of thin air because I have some things that are valuable, amongst them my words. So I guess we must redistribute tongues at some point. But it's amazing how comrades just don't realize how much talent is amongst people. You know, one of the things that...
sorry, just to interrupt you. Either they don't realize or they do realize and they're trying to stamp it out. That's more my way of seeing the situation is that, you know, I disagree with you that they don't see the talent. I think they see the talent, and the best way to stamp out that talent is to say nobody's talented, and if they tell you they're talented, they are sellouts. So don't listen, they're being bought. Yeah. So therefore, nobody's got talent, and all we've got is bad guys and guys with no talent. Therefore, we have to look after those guys.
And to take it even further, because it's politics of envy. These people are extremely jealous. They are. So what does the EFF, the MK, the ANC say? All they say is, "I'm jealous." Okay. But because they never put it in simple language, people never hear it. Because their message is, I'm jealous. If you jealous like me, let's do it. Okay. But they just, you know, they say the people and whatever. So I actually went and searched on my phone a message I sent to a group of friends. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. And they had shared a video of the People's Bay. Ndlozi. They had shared, and this is like way before anything had come up. And they shared, and I said, this guy is he's got stepson vibes in that party.
Yeah.
And then someone said, what do you say? Why? I said, man, politics of envy. No good-looking, eloquent, witty, smart, charismatic guy is gonna last there very long. And I got attacked, right? Yeah, blah blah blah. So I left it. I didn't go back to say, did I not tell you so? So if you look at one of the reasons why, have you ever thought about why you don't find anyone in the Marxist parties that you think, wow, this person's just awesome? It's because you get stamped out.
Sure.
In fact, it's even in their choosing of the perfect cadre, they find ways to say, and you better not make us feel threatened.
Yeah.
So, and that's why you find, if you think about it, I mean, there's some brilliant people in so many parties, but but it is. It's envy. They don't.
Yeah.
If no one, if I'm not gonna have it, no one can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always drawn to the story of the Roman Empire, which obviously did something right because they were around for 1,500 years. But they worked out one thing, and that was that the biggest threat to the system was the entrepreneur of the day, which was the general, the guy who won battles, because we weren't, at that point, we weren't as same people we are today. And what they would do is they would find that whenever a general had a great victory, that posed a real threat to Rome, because suddenly it becomes so popular. So what would happen is that the general would come back to a hero's welcome, having won a great battle. And then a couple of days later, he'd be found stabbed in a side street, just because he became a threat to the system.
Yeah.
Right now, we know that we've seen it internationally where some of the old systems are under real threat. We see that, for example, in America, where the system is under threat. And somebody like Donald Trump is threatening the entire system. And it fought back once before, and it'll fight back again. In South Africa, our system is the ANC and the Marxists, right? And they will fight back, and their way of fighting back is with those tactics. You're anti-transformation or you're a sellout. So that sort of takes care of white people, that takes care of clever blacks, right?
Yeah. But they're losing the battle with the clever blacks now because of the shift in age.
Yes.
Because the young kids, I mean, I was in Diepsloot not so long ago to go and buy a kota and do car wash, right? Just missing Kasi vibes. And so I ended up hanging around the kids there. This is what happened. So I heard some of the teenagers, they were talking there. And so they start talking about Trump. And they got it so messed up. They thought Trump wants to come over and take over South Africa. So the propaganda sort of backfired because they sort of took it literally. But their position was, this is what they said. Ramaphosa usile akafuna Trump eze ngoba sizoba nemsebenzi. So their response was, Ramaphosa's jealous because if Trump comes here, we'll have jobs. Right? So there's quite a shift. And I think what happened, I wrote a book, the one that's coming out called Soft Life. I wrote it 2 years ago. And as soon as lost a best friend in the process, lost a lot of business, as soon as they kind of started finding out that some of the things I sort of said in corners, I might be coming out with it, right? So only after 2 years did I come out and just start talking with my YouTube and think, I don't care. But it also helps that there are more people just speaking out. And what the divide and conquer of, no, that white guy just says that because he's racist. It becomes harder when there are 10 black guys.
Yes.
Because you can't say, they all bought and at some point. So no, that fight is going to be lost. And I think it happened in the States as well. The Democrats used to run blacks like their latest slaves, just like ANC runs blacks like their slaves in South Africa and the EFF and the MK, right? Because if you have to vote for someone to be something, you're a slave. So slavery is strong in South Africa.
Yes.
66% of South Africans are slaves. How do I know that? Because if they didn't vote ANC, EFF, MK, they would stop being black.
Yes.
They would stop existing. They would be nobodies, meaning they slaves. Because a free man, this is what Mandela fought for, a free man gets to listen to everybody and make a choice. And if you black don't vote for the comrades, the fighters, the revolutionaries, you are no longer a slave.
Let's talk about our world, the world of podcasting, which is, as it changed the game in the US.
Yeah.
We saw that in their last election where one candidate used the old media.
Yeah.
And one candidate was never going to get the old media, so they used this medium, and then he won quite convincingly, speaking the language of the people, right?
Yeah.
And, I find it quite hard to analyze Donald Trump because there's some things that he does that I really don't like, but there's some things that he does that I think are really great.
Yeah.
But I want to talk more about the medium of social media. And now, I mean, you've just had the most incredible start. A couple of months and you're already sort of well on your way to 30,000 subscribers. We are on 100,000 watch, but he's going to catch me. But that would be the happiest day of my life.
And subscribers don't count anymore.
Yeah, but
do subscribe.
Do subscribe.
Which camera's on?
Don't listen
which
to
one?
him.
Subscribe.
Just
Subscribe
to
now.
both channels. Yeah.
Now. Ring that bell. Ring. Okay.
Now, tell me about the influence of, in some cases, what I see is that, yes, you can get a reinforcement of your existing ideas, but this is opening up brand new markets, people that never knew there were people like Bonsai or Mike Sham before. Are you finding that? Are you finding that a whole lot of people that were hiding before coming out of the closet?
Absolutely, because with the old media, we were all talking in silos. I mean, I'll tell you, I was shamed by Citizen Concerned to finally come out. I don't mean she called me and shamed me, but I wrote a book, and then I sat with it like this, and then saw one of her videos and another one and another one. And in some way, each video I saw was her going, chicken.
Yeah.
Right. But no, it's having a big impact. In fact, I saw today but comrades. So the Competition Commission is also now trying to weaponize something to shut us down, which is not going to work. Too late, guys.
Yeah.
You should have not signed the Constitution back then.
Yeah.
Okay, we get to keep our freedom. So the Competition Commission, typical comrade thought pattern. They say mainstream media is losing money, so we want you to pay mainstream media a grant.
Yes.
Okay. Like, it just gets asinine by the day. And last week we had that tax-funded activist that was trying to drag MacG to for something bad which he said, and childish and wrong, I have to say. But you can see signs every now and then they don't like it at all, because they don't get to control
and the
narrative.
They don't get to control the narrative, but it's also compared to what? Because in old media it was so easy to control the narrative. Governments got to give you a license. They got to give you a frequency if you're a radio. You got to give you a channel if you're a TV station, and they had the big red telephone, and they could threaten any one of those licenses to shut you down. They can't do that with us.
No.
But you did mention Citizen Concerned, and that she was shaming you. Well, Katlego, I'm going to shame you, because you should have come on here a year ago, and I'm calling you chicken. Because I do know her quite well.
Back. Come to State of the Nation.
State of the Nation, so we can talk across. Okay, in closing, we've discussed the country. We've discussed what you're doing, what I'm doing. Why is the kind of constituency that you are now building not represented in a political party, in your opinion?
Yeah, time. But it needs to be.
It's going to come, hasn't it?
It needs to be. For instance, it's hard for me to say this, but I don't have a political party I can vote squarely for. So I know it's certainly not the Marxists. I can't because I'm a Christian. I hope you got that. I can't because of Jesus. For me. Okay, so, but then you have the DA and everyone all the way to, you have the DA and then you have IFP. I'm trying to go down in the numbers, and then you have Freedom Front, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's been disappointing that two things happened. So, do you have edit facilities there?
Yes.
Okay, let's say it and see if you can edit it out. Not okay. So unfortunately, what happened with parties like the DA, for instance, is they tried to they sort of, oh, this is gonna be bad. But let's just say I don't vote DA, except where I live. Where, you know, when they had the Musi Maimanis come in, who had not escaped the oppressed mindset and couldn't really stand up, because I watched, for instance, when Musi Maimani was in the DA. He came in and everyone said, you know how it is, right? If Zuma is president of the ANC and he has black people under him, he's the boss. But if Musi Maimani is the president of the DA and he's got white people under him, he's the puppet, right? It's like, and there's that mindset. And I remember watching Musi taking fire over years, and I watched him start to blackify his accent. Very soon you'd hear him say the word struggle. I'm like, struggle? I'm not a leader at the DA, but I would fire you today just for using that word, right? Because then what's the difference between the two? And so I think it's been, and also what you find is the people who really just held a different mindset had to be quiet for survival. I was brought into the ANC, to Lutuli House, for President Zuma's second term to assist with his re-election, right? From a certain perspective, from comms and things like that. And because I was still in the music industry and did a project there and all of that. And I remember at that time, the atmosphere was very clear. You toe the line or you get shut down. The repression was real. And I think the leaving of President Zuma took us out of the Soviet Union, because he was an oppressor. It was very bad. And so, and then President Ramaphosa came in, and one of the good things about him is he's not very effective with he's not very
good at his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like someone said, I hope someone has integrity, but if they don't, I hope they don't have talent.
Yes.
Because at least they can't do the wrong very badly. And Zuma is skilled.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like when we got our new cabinet in the 7th administration, I said that the appointment I most liked was Angie Motshekga as Minister of Defense, because there was no way she's ever going to fix it, because she hasn't done the job.
And Zimbabwe is not going to attack us.
And Zimbabwe hasn't, but the thing that the one danger that we could have in South Africa could be a well-organized military.
Oh, yeah.
So while Angie Motsega's involved,
No coups.
no coups, nobody's saying they should take over. Right, so that helps. But I want to close up with this. I've said before that South Africa at the moment is out of kilter with the world, and that is that there is a move towards non-traditional political representation, in some cases winning elections, and it's happening. Don't look everywhere else in the world. Look in Africa. It's happened in Zambia. It happened, nearly happened in Mozambique. It nearly happened in Namibia. It did happen in Botswana. We saw Milei in Argentina. You've seen Trump himself, who's not really a Republican, doing it in America. And to me, South Africa looks ripe for that kind of situation. The question is whether it happens in 2029 or 2034. But it's going to happen. Yeah,
it will. It will.
You can't be the only brave person out there. There's got to be somebody else as well.
No, there are plenty. There are plenty. And I think one of the reasons why I'm speaking very loosely is to make a gap for as many people who have thought everything I've said, that they'll come out and it does look like it might be in 2034, but I'm asking people, can we make it 2029? And we can, and I'll do my part, and if everyone does their part.
Well, subscribe to our channels and maybe we'll get it done quicker. But you mentioned something earlier, and I want to close with this, because when I was analyzing your analysis of my interview, well, I put in some parts which I thought were fantastic, but I had to leave out something only because of time, and that is your brilliant poem, which, and I did want to confirm that you had in fact written it yourself, because I really think this should be compulsory listening to everybody that watches channel like this. And let's look at Bonsai's poem.
While you block the names your slogans reject, you blind yourself to who you should protect. You slam the door on wealth and gain, then you wonder why your people are in pain. You chase the rich with all your might, but dim your own stars in the fight. You cut off brilliance to prove a point, then cry when jobs won't anoint. You shut them out to please the crowd, but silence the voices that should be loud. The builders you claim to celebrate get locked outside your revolution's gate. Your war on wealth is loud and proud, but buries brilliance in the crowd. You mock the ones who take the lead, then wonder why your people bleed. You fight the ones you've marked as foes, but crush the seeds your country grows. The ones who might have changed your fate get shamed and sidelined outside the gate. Your revolution taught you who to blame, but can't explain your people's shame. You block the path with righteous rage and write the losses on the page. You blocking sharks but losing stars, and clapping loud behind the steel bars. You kill the chance to raise your own while preaching from your borrowed throne. In casting shadows of the past, you block a future that could last. Your blind crusade to burn the old has left your youth out in the cold.
That is really inspirational. Well done.
The poem, hey?
The poem, yes.
Yeah.
Not you, the poem.
Yeah.
But that is something that I think should be required. Every child should have to learn that.
Learn it and say it.
Learn it and say it before they go to bed every night. But Bonsai, Shongwe, I am going to be punting your channel all day and all night. Thank you so much for coming through. It's so important that we expose you to a new market and wish you well on the growth of your channel.
Thank you so
much. You're doing the important work. And to everybody that if you haven't watched Bonsai, it is required watching. Please go and subscribe to his channel right after you subscribe to our channel. So Bonsai, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much, and thank you for doing what you've been doing, because it's really made a big dent in the country, because we need the values you espouse coming through. So appreciated.
And it's all thanks to Pace Car Rental that sponsor us, keep us on air, and to, most importantly, the people that watch us on the State of the Nation. Thank you so much. We'll see you again. Bonsai, thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every business needs a world-class video to show to your clients and prospective clients. When the Stream-In team isn't filming the State of the Nation, they are producing those world-class videos for companies just like yours. They have got all of the equipment, drones, microphones, whatever you need, and the technical know-how to film a proper video for your company. Visit their website.